All right, hello students. Today we are going to talk about the circumference and the area of a circle. Okay. Most of us already know what the difference between the circumference and the area is, but just in case, I'll talk about it. The circumference is the outside of a circle. Okay, so every time we're talking about the circumference, we're talking about the outside. It's like the perimeter, but for a circle, we call it circumference. And the area is all the inside of a circle. Okay. To find the circumference, we actually have two different formulas. The most common formula is this: circumference is equal to 2 pi r. But we do have the other equation that's circumference is equal to pi times diameter. That's because our diameter in a circle is really just 2 times the radius, so 2r, right, or diameter. Okay, and then for area, there's only one equation. It's the only one that works. The area is pi times radius squared. Okay. Also, this one is more popular because it includes the radius, and so does our area formula. So because they include the same variable, they kind of go hand in hand. All right. But once you know these equations, today's lesson is pretty much find your numbers, plug it into these equations. Okay, so let's go through this. All right, on question 1, the radius of a circle is 9 inches. Find its circumference in terms of pi. Okay, as you're answering all these questions, it's either going to tell you to keep your answer in terms of pi, or it might say like round to the nearest whole number or the nearest tenth. Okay, if it wants it in terms of pi, then when you put in your answer on the calculator, it gives you two different answers. So it first gives you a pi answer, and then it gives you a decimal answer. So anytime it wants it in terms of pi, just use that first answer. Anytime it wants a decimal, use the second answer. Okay. So we got a circle, radius is 9, find the circumference. I'm going to use the circumference formula because I need the circumference. Because it gives me my radius, I'll use the equation with a radius in it already. Okay, so here we go. We got the circumference is equal to 2 times pi times our radius. Our radius is 9. So I'll say 2 times pi times 9. And now I just need to plug that into my calculator. Okay, and when I do, I want the first answer it gives me, so the answer in terms of pi, which is 18 pi. Okay, and that's my answer. So really not too bad. All right, question 2. The diameter of a circle is 38 meters. Find the circumference to the nearest whole number. Okay, so still finding the circumference. This time it gives me the diameter though. Okay, so I'm going to use the equation with the diameter. All right, so circumference is equal to pi times my diameter, which is 38. So pi times 38. And it wants this rounded to the nearest whole number, so I want it without pi included. So I'm going to plug that in my calculator. And when I do, I get 119 meters if I round to the nearest whole number, like it asks. All right, question 3. Circumference of a circle is 15 pi. Find its diameter in meters. Okay, so in the last ones, it gave me either the radius or the diameter. In this one, it gives me my circumference already. So I'm still going to use one of these equations. But this time I'm going to plug something in for C because I know what the circumference is. Now I'm going to use this equation because I want the diameter. And so this one already includes the diameter, so I'll use this equation. Okay, so my generic equation is circumference equals pi times diameter. I can plug in that 15 pi for the circumference, so it'll be 15 pi is equal to pi times the diameter. Now to solve this, I need to get the diameter all by itself, so I have to get rid of this pi. So I ask myself, what is pi doing to the diameter? It's multiplying, so I need to do the opposite of that. I need to divide both sides by pi. When I divide both sides by pi, the pi's cancel on the right, and the pi's cancel on the left. You can also just put it in your calculator, and you'd get 15 is your diameter. And that's my answer. Okay, question 4. Radius of a circle is 11 meters. Find the area in terms of pi. Okay, so we're now on to area. We're going to be using the area formula. We have our radius, so we can just plug it right in there. Okay, so we got the area is equal to pi times my radius, which is 11. So pi times 11 squared. And it wants my answer in terms of pi, so when I type this in, I'll just make sure to give the first answer that it gives. So my area is 121 pi. And include meters, so meters squared, because it's area. All right, question 5. The diameter of the circle is 6. Find the area to the nearest tenth. So area, have to use this equation right here. But this equation only has the radius, but it gave me the diameter. So the first step I need to do is find my radius, which we know how to do. The diameter is 2 times the radius. So I can take my diameter 6 and just divide it by 2. So my radius is 3. Once you have your radius, now you can just plug it into this equation right here. So we got area is equal to pi times 3 squared. It wants it rounded to the nearest tenth, so I plug it in my calculator and I get area is equal to 28.3 centimeters squared. Okay, question 6. The circumference of a circle is 8 pi centimeters. What is the area in square centimeters? All right, so up until now, we've just focused on circumference formulas or area formulas. Now we are given the circumference and we want to find the area, okay? So whenever you're going from circumference to area, you're gonna need to set up 2 different equations, okay? The first equation is gonna be a circumference equation because that's what you start with. And then you're gonna plug into the area equation in this instance, okay? So the circumference of the circle is 8 pi, and I need the area. Well, if I'm going to use the area equation, I need to know the radius. Okay, so because I need to know the radius, I'm going to use the circumference formula that includes my radius. Okay, because that's going to, at the end, tell me what my radius is. Okay, so I'm going to use this equation first. So it's going to look like my circumference, C, which I know is 8 pi, is equal to 2 pi times my radius, okay? So I just plugged 8 pi into that equation, and notice now I can get r all by itself by dividing both sides by 2 pi. When I divide by 2 pi, pi's cancel on the right, pi's cancel on the left, 2's cancel on the right, and then 8 divided by 2 is just 4. So I got 4 is equal to just r because it's the only thing that didn't cancel. Okay, so I now know the radius. It's 4. Now I can find the area by plugging it into the area formula. Okay, so now I go area is equal to pi times my radius, so 4 squared. It wants my answer in terms of pi, so that'll be area is equal to 16 pi centimeters squared. Okay. So sometimes when you're going from one of our things like circumference to area, you're going to have to use two equations. It's the same thing if we're going from area to circumference. Okay. Question 7, the area of a circle is 64 pi centimeters squared. What's the circumference? Okay, so now we're going the other way. So this time we're going to start with the area equation. We know what the area is. It's 64 pi. So we have 64 pi is equal to our area equation, which is pi times radius squared. Okay, we need to get r all by itself. So my first step is I got to get rid of pi. Pi is multiplying by r right now. So I divide both sides by pi. When I do that, the pi's cancel and the pi's cancel over here, leaving me just with 64 is equal to my radius squared. And then my last step to get my radius all by itself is square root both sides. So I'm going to take the square root of 64 and the square root of r. Well, square roots cancel over here. And the square root of 64 is just 8. So 8 is my radius. And now that I have my radius, I can plug it into my circumference equation. Circumference equation is c equals 2 pi r. I know my radius, so I'll plug that in. I got my circumference is equal to 2 times pi times 8. And then it wants it in terms of pi, so I got circumference is equal to 16 pi centimeters. Okay. All right. In this class, we're not going to be converting radians. I was going to take these questions out and I just forgot to do it. So you can just go ahead and skip those two questions. And then the diameter of a circle is 18 feet. Find its circumference in terms of pi. Well, we're just focusing on circumference. We were given the diameter in this case, so we're going to use the circumference formula that has the diameter, which is c equals pi times your diameter. Since the diameter is 18, we got c equals pi times 18. And it wants it in terms of pi, so actually nothing's going to change here. I am going to rearrange it because we usually put our number before the pi, but that is what our circumference is, just 18 pi. Okay. All right, to check your understanding. If the circumference of the circle is 14 pi inches, find the area of the circle. So that is very similar to this question right here. I'm going to let you guys solve that by yourselves. Question 2, you're deciding between purchasing one large 18-inch pizza or two medium 12-inch pizzas. Which option gives you more pizza? And which option gives you more crust? Okay. One thing I want to say is when we're talking about 18-inch pizzas and 12-inch pizzas, that is the diameter of our pizzas. Okay. So the large pizza has an 18-inch diameter and the medium pizza has a 12-inch diameter. If I'm trying to find which one gives me more pizza, I need to find the area of the large pizza, and I need to find the area of the small pizza, the medium pizza. And then when I'm done finding the area of the medium pizza, I need to times that by 2, okay? And whichever number is bigger, because I have 2 pizzas, that's going to give me more pizza. So this is an area question. You need to find the area of both of these and decide which one gives you more area or more pizza. But when we're talking about crust, well, crust is around the outside of the pizza. So this is a circumference question. Okay. And then Pizza Palace sells square pizzas and circular pizzas. They have the same area. If the side length of the square pizza is 10 inches, what is the radius of the circular pizza? Okay. We know that their areas are the same. And so we have like a square pizza and we have a circular pizza. Okay. A side length is 10, but since it's a square, we know that all of the side lengths are 10. So first we can find the area of this square pizza. Hopefully you remember how to do that. And then you can use your area equation. So A equals pi r squared. And when you know what the area of this is, you could just plug that in for your area of the circle because we know they have the same area. Okay, and then get r all by itself, and that will give you the radius. And then question 4, we're just going to skip. Okay, so try these 3 questions. If you can't get them, then just when I get back, we'll go over them. But yeah, and when you're done with these 3 check your understanding questions, you got Delta Math online. Okay, have a good weekend.